Hello everybody and welcome aboard. This is becoming a little bit of a habit, doing 2 videos a day. But you know what? It is what the people want, and that's what we aim to do right here, in addition to helping you stay ahead of the culture curve by explaining entertainment each and every time. Today we're going to the Hollywood Reporter. We've got a big report out about the Walt Disney Company, and this article is written in certain industry speak that needs to be translated so that you can understand exactly what is going on. Let's dive straight in. This one says, how much is too much Marvel and Star Wars? Disney rethinks franchise output. As Disney chief Bob Iger pledges to be better at curating releases, fiscal discipline may impact an expansive Disney Plus Originals slate. This by Aaron Couch and Boris Kitt. Again, as we read through this, I'm going to explain what they really mean, helping you get past the industry excrement meant to soften the blow, let's say. Call it a franchise recession. After years of Marvel and Star Wars movies and shows inundating screens big and small. Now, wait a minute. Let's stop already. I'm sorry, has Star Wars been inundating screens big? I think not. We haven't had we've had none. No Star Wars movies in so long. Let's continue on. Disney is putting the brakes on the output of some of its biggest franchises and brands following Bob Iger's February 8th comments that the company needs to be better at curating franchise content that's extraordinarily expensive. Added Iger, we want the quality on the screen, but we have to look at what they cost us. In other words, Disney spends way too much money on stuff. They spend ridiculous amounts of money. They produce Lightyear, a financial flop at the box office, and a streaming failure. They produce it for $250 million. That's production only. Meanwhile, other companies are out there making movies like Minions: Rise of Gru for about $100 million. You can't do that. That's not a recipe for success. The directive to rein in costs and output arrives as Disney prepares to release Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and yes, I'll have a review up in the morning for that one on February 17th, and as The Mandalorian Season 3 awaits its March 1st Disney Plus debut. Marvel is Disney's most important supplier of product, the subsidiary with the highest output, and under Iger's directive, it could feel cuts the soonest. There is going to be a level of rigor on Marvel and across the entire company. One company insider says, numbers matter now and costs are going to be outlined and enforced. Stop here. Let me explain something that is missing from all of this. What is not being differentiated in this article is that they are referring to producing less content, not producing content more efficiently. That's important to note. When we're talking about these costs, one thing that they could do that would be highly effective is that they could produce content for a better budget. They could cut out some of this fat that continues to bloat their budgets beyond control. Instead, what is being proposed here in this article is that Disney is going to cut content. They're not going to cut budgets for content. They're going to cut content, period. Now, that's interesting because if your content is popular in a capitalist society, then you would produce more of that content. Think about it this way. Let's say that you go to Walmart, and on the shelves of Walmart is a very hot item that everybody wants. Now let's imagine that the CEO of Walmart comes out and says, actually, we need to get our expenses under control and we're going to stop producing so much of that product. Well, that's insane. And that would never happen because if something is doing well, they want to produce more of it so they can do even better. They wouldn't cut the numbers of those inventories because it's selling extremely well. Disney is not cutting content that's doing well. If you go back and look at the Nielsen top 15s in every single subcategory, what you'll find for 2022 is that there is no Star Wars and there is no Marvel. And if you go and you compare the attendance of Marvel movies, we can't for Star Wars because there are no Star Wars movies now to deal with. But if you go look at the Marvel movies and you compare them to, let's say, 2018, you'll find that attendance has dropped dramatically. That is largely hidden by the fact that inflation has increased and movie ticket prices have increased at an even higher rate than inflation, even given the fact that we're in record level inflationary times. not seen since the 70s. Yet still movie ticket prices have increased even more dramatically. And that hides the lower attendance because it looks like the movie industry is breaking record after record when they are not in terms of cultural impact. They simply are because it costs more to go see a movie. In what feels like a different timeline ago, at July San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel chief Kevin Feige put the pedal to the metal when he outlined 5 Disney Plus shows for 2023. What If, Season 2, Echo, Loki Season 2, Ironheart, and Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Now, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Loki Season 2 and the Samuel L. Jackson-led Secret Invasion are the only sure bets to debut this year. That is big news, by the way. Even projects that wrapped months ago, such as the Hawkeye spinoff Echo and Wakanda Forever spinoff Ironheart, are unlikely to arrive in 2023 as the studio spreads out its content and tinkers in post-production. That is not a financial thing they're discussing. That is a content issue. They're not tinkering with these shows in order to delay them going out and driving new Disney Plus subscribers. They're tinkering with them because they suspect they'll be unpopular, just like She-Hulk, although we're not supposed to say that was unpopular, but we all know it was. That's what's going on. As a point of comparison, during its Phase 4, Marvel Studios released a breakneck 18 projects across theatrical and streaming, 4 films and 5 TV shows in 2021, 3 films and 3 TV shows in 2022, plus a few specials. Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige echoed the new direction. The pace at which we're putting out the Disney Plus shows will change, Feige told Entertainment Weekly in an interview published this week, noting that there will be fewer shows and that they will be more spaced out. By the way, that is contrary to everything you ever learned in economics when it comes to things that are highly desired in the market, and therefore, ladies and gentlemen, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 here if you're still thinking that Marvel is doing as well as it once was. Don't buy the spin. What they're doing is very, very simple. It's not as popular. They're cutting the content. They're trying to fix it. That's what's going on. This is very simple. This is a lot of paragraphs to explain something you learned in Economics 101, Business 101, if you went to college, and probably if you were a sophomore in high school and took economics. A lot of paragraphs here to make something very simple, very obtuse. Star Wars is facing the opposite challenge. Boy, are they ever. After being absent from the big screen since 2019 and having had false starts with Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, which may never materialize, you think, Disney has ramped up its efforts to return the franchise to theaters. Damon Lindelof led a writer's room in July to hash out a story for a feature, and Taika Waititi is still developing his own take on the franchise. I'm sure they're right around the corner, any day now. Although, let's say, there is something that I scooped not too long ago. It's been making headlines, and we'll talk more about that this weekend because we've had some indicators that that is coming to fruition. We'll talk about that, the Rey and Grogu situation. Disney is expected to unveil film plans at Star Wars Celebration set for April in London. On top of Season 3 of Mandalorian, shows expected to hit the streaming service this year include Ahsoka starring Rosario Dawson and the John Watts-produced Skeleton Crew. Lucasfilm may ramp up, but it will have to abide by the same fiscal discipline as the rest of the company, says the insider. Well, if they do anything at the box office, that would be ramping up at this point. You know, that's like somebody playing baseball they've never made it to first base yet, and the pitcher walks them or beans them, and you say, oh, they're ramping up. Yeah, sure they are. Observers are calling it a massive correction from only a few years ago when the entertainment industry was hell-bent on giving consumers endless amounts to watch and spending endlessly in doing so. You can have 10 mediocre shows or you can have 5 great shows, says one agency partner whose clients work on the franchise plays. People will stay on Disney. People will still stay on Disney Plus. All right, this paragraph is here because what they're trying to say in this trade publication, The Hollywood Reporter, is they're trying to say you can stop making stuff and people will still pay the subscription fee. And that's the gamble. That's why they're putting this here. That's what the proposal is. Remember, Disney pays an extremely higher amount for their content than Netflix. And people can say, oh, well, you know, that Disney payout, that's also including box office and other things. Well, sort of. If you listen to Robert Iger's commentary in the last earnings report and in his interview the day after, Disney sort of views everything else, all the box office, TV, etc. They sort of view that as tributaries that flow into Disney Plus. It's all about Disney Plus. Disney's been spending an incredible amount of money beyond what even Netflix pays. Yet Netflix, if you go and look at the ratings, is dominating Disney. That's what this is about. They're cutting content because the content is popular. They got to fix it, but you can't fix it just right away. So they're trying not to do more damage. Hang in there. On the animation front, 2022 was a tough one for Disney, which saw Pixar's Lightyear underperform, aka a movie starring Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story was an abysmal failure. Let's clarify that and categorize it correctly. It didn't just underperform. Minions Rise of Gru ate its lunch on half the budget. Minions Rise of Gru made about $1 billion. Lightyear made $250 and didn't make its budget back. I may have that $250 wrong. That was the actual budget. It may have made slightly more than that. But when you add in the marketing, Lightyear was a flop at the box office. Strange World outright bombed. Iger announced 3 new sequels to $1 billion brands, Toy Story, Frozen, and Zootopia, also known as Disney going as safe as they can. And Disney insiders have acknowledged recent box office woes were exacerbated by confusion in the marketplace from families who were trained during the pandemic to just wait for animated features to end up on Disney Plus. Sure. Confusion in the marketplace. If by that you mean families are disgusted by Disney, yeah, that's what. Excuse me. Let's go back up here. Aaron Couch and Boris Kitt. I'm sorry, did people show up en masse for Strange World when it came on to Disney Plus? No, they did not. So were they waiting? Was there confusion in the marketplace from families? Blame the families who were trained like poor, stupid animals during the pandemic to just wait for animated features. Were they waiting with bated breath for Strange World to hit? No. In 3 weeks, Strange World had less audience than Encanto. And Encanto released back in December of last year. No, I'm sorry, 2 Decembers ago on Disney Plus. And in 3 weeks, Strange World had less people watching it. That is the biggest pile of, let's say, what comes out of a bull from the south end as it makes its way northward. That's what that statement is. And that statement, right, this statement right here, exacerbated by confusion in the marketplace from families who were trained. That's what they think of you, families. You can be trained. Anyway, there is talk of longer theatrical windows for Elemental, which, by the way, will not help. Elemental is going up against Disney's own competition. Disney putting its own competition out there with Indiana Jones and Disney Animation's Wish, which, by the way, I have insider information on Wish, which is that it may be in some trouble. We'll be talking about that next week. Hope nobody gets the scoop ahead of me on that one. In hopes of luring families back to theaters. The pullback on Disney Plus is coming amid an industry-wide shift in rethinking the best way to achieve profitability in streaming, adds one producer working on multiple projects around town. Every studio and streamer is being forced to behave fiscally responsibly. Really? Well, you mean streamers are having to behave fiscally responsibly? I'm sorry. When was that not the case? When did businesses not have to operate with fiscally sound plan? I'm so confused. The stupidity that is said sometimes in these articles. Oh, and by the way, Netflix gained 7 million subs in the last month, and Disney in North America was stagnant. But hey, if you'd like to know what's really going on, that's that. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. Hit that subscribe button, share, comment, notification bell, click it, and stick it to the algorithms. And I'll see you tomorrow.